Hi, welcome to Reboot TV. I'm your host, Stephen A. Jakes, today. To my right, my co-business partner and founder and creator of the Reboot program, Gregory J. Baker. And to my left, we have the very handsome and lovely and wonderful Mark Constable, who's a business consultant who specialises in helping small businesses develop, grow, and you'll be able to tell us a bit more about that at the end. Yeah. So, hi, thank you for joining us again for another episode of these amazing stories that we have. So, as I said, we've got Mark next to us, and so Mark was one of the people that has already completed the programme. And so today we're just going to investigate the process where Mark was before he started it, his experiences during the programme, and where he is now after the programme and what effect it's had on him. So thank you for joining us, Mark. It's a privilege to have you here in our lovely studios, and obviously we're pleased to hear your life story. So let's crack on. So the first question really is, like for myself, was how did you hear about the programme and how did you get to meet Gregory in order to start or to even get involved in the programme?
Okay, well, I suppose mine was a bit of an unusual route in that respect. Yeah. I just started out in the role of doing what I'm doing now, so I've been learning a lot about business, and I was going out there, going to networking events and looking for prospective clients. Yeah. And one networking event that I went to in particular, I didn't know many people in the room, but someone stood up who later turned out to be Gregory, and asked some really good questions of someone that had asked the speaker, and I felt compelled to go and speak to him. Yeah. And we swapped a few stories, and there were some similarities in terms of what our background had been. But I found Gregory interesting, and we arranged to meet because I thought that there might be some way that he could help me and I could help him. So it was much more of a collaborative approach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so whereabouts were you whereabouts were you, and what sort of place were you before, when you met Greg? Was there stuff going on for you in your personal life, business life? What was really going on for you at the time?
Yeah, I've been through something of a transition. In my 30s, I was pretty successful. I'd started my own recruitment business and I built it up, and I was living a pretty good lifestyle. And I'd just become a father, and then I hit what I call quite affectionately to people now something of a brick wall in life, where I started to question myself, started to devalue myself. The business went to pot. And I was feeling, I suppose the best word to describe it was pretty lost. And I'd been on something of a mission as well, just doing the type of work I had, which was answering some of the questions, but there was probably something much more deep-rooted than that, which hadn't been addressed. And that was when I arranged to meet with Gregory, and thinking it was about a business type meeting, and then he hit me with a question and said, "You've got no idea who you are." And that sort of prompted a number of things in my mind, and I thought, okay, that's a pretty fair question. Yeah. And I don't have an answer.
I think most people don't actually ask that question, and it's quite funny because the story that you've just said or told is very, very similar to mine, and similar age, similar thing, similar stuff. We've just got to it in a different way. So let's move over to you, Greg. So obviously you was at the networking event, and obviously, what's your experience with Mark, and how did you? What was the process, or what did you identify in Mark that you felt that you could help him?
I want to blow a little bit of smoke up your bumpty right now. I thought clearly very bright. I thought he was. I use a phrase which is grazing in the wrong field. He was clearly head and shoulders. Well, I wouldn't say head and shoulders above necessarily. I don't want to compare it in that way, but he had a lot more to offer. I think maybe the demographic in there was maybe not for him. Maybe that's just my view, but he just stood out for me. Yeah. And so we after that question time, I think that was at the
Costa Coffee.
No, but when you first met me and when I asked the question, the networking event was at the mill.
Mill. That's right. Yeah.
And I was very intrigued to speak to you. But then we had that Costa Coffee. I'll never forget that chat. And I just, my thing is context, so I got to there was a lot of content there, and he's context king as well. and I realised that the context was he was actually quite lost. So I was brave enough. By the way, Mark is a very powerful man. He can come across a little bit intimidating, although it's getting much better now, because he's quite knowledgeable. He's quite wise. He can get you like that. So if you ever speak with him, you know he'll just get you. He'll get to where you're at very, very quickly. And so it's quite a formidable thing to be around him. But I don't think anyone had ever challenged him. And so I challenged him, and I went straight for the biggest
For the
sword.
jugular. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it just happened to be at the right time, I think. And then, and the nice thing was that there's two types of mindset. Basically, there's a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And Mark was very, very, very in the growth mindset. He was really open to new ideas and new challenges. There was some resilience and some resistance there, but in essence, he was really open to the idea. And I think it was a good timing. I think for both
Yeah, I think
of us.
anybody, if we think is going to put any resistance to this, I think we're fooling ourselves, because your whole life experience is built on what we've learned. And so when somebody comes along with a new model and starts challenging your beliefs and challenging where you are, and they're going to literally, I mean, I still have conversations now with people when I tell them what we do and how we can help. They would just think, well, you know, they will challenge it because, you know, they don't understand the possibilities of what it is we can actually achieve with an individual if they're open to it.
Yeah.
But they've got to be open to it initially in order to be able to participate and actually, and also they've got to want it as well. So that's the thing.
Yeah, that was.
The thing is, where we'll bring it back to you, Mark, is that, you know, obviously when you met Gregory, you wasn't actually looking to transform your life, and so and I know that this stuff you got to really want it, and I know you said you was lost and stuff, but what really made you all of a sudden go from like having a conversation to really wanting to do the course? Because that's quite a big shift to be able to move, if you know what I mean, to go through.
Yeah, so I've done quite a lot of personal development up until that point. And actually I'll argue a little bit with what you just said, Gregory, about my growth mindset. I think that actually I was probably much more in a fixed mindset. But I probably got to that point where I realised that actually that wasn't
working.
Oh, okay.
I'd learned a hell of a lot in the previous 18 months just in the line of work that I was in, and that was already giving me some really valuable tools.
That's what I meant by the growth mindset.
Yeah.
You've been open to this whole
But
new
I
way.
was, but although that was a growth mindset, I was
Yeah.
quite fixed that was the only way.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
So,
Similar to Jonathan, but anyway, yeah.
So it was. So it's an interesting one. But what I saw in Gregory was that actually he's someone who could seriously help expedite the process, and that. I don't know, there was something there that I think that because he was quite blunt in the way he challenged me, and that did put me on the back foot a little bit. And he's right, not many people do challenge me.
Yeah.
And when they do, I try and be clever and try to...
Ego kicks in.
Ego kicks in, yeah. So there was something there that I thought, you know what, and I wasn't exactly flush at the time as well. I'd been spending a lot of money on a program that I'd already doing, which was so I was already in six figures. So that had been my investment. So there's a lot of money
Into
going
personal development, you spent?
into personal development and learning to do the trade that I do.
Okay, yeah.
So I was well into six figures.
It's a lot of money.
And lots of money going out and very, very little coming in at the time. So it was something of quite a big leap of faith for me, and also one where if I'd have gone and spoke to my missus about it and said, look, I bet this guy I'm going to go spend some money on. So so I had to be very cloak and dagger about it.
Yeah.
But there was something that told me that I needed to take the risk. And I think what it was with Gregory was that there was something about him that I just thought, actually, this is not someone who's going to just let me get away with it. This is someone who's going to really push the boundaries. And he did.
Yeah, yeah. So that's very interesting because when it's just which I see a lot of him because I work with him on a regular basis, and I've been for a while now. But he's got an innate ability to get straight to the real context of the problem in an instant without it's like a natural gift for him, and that really holds what he does in good stead because you haven't got to do lots of running around, and you just don't. So and he could investigate something, and is it that, or is it this, or is it that, or is it this? It's pretty much he's bang on the money straight away, and so that does help facilitate having a bit of faith in him, because that's what I had in him before I'd done the course. So that's where you were, which is obviously you were lost, and because obviously I'm trying to relate to the people that are going to watch this, that how where they are in their life in order whether this is right for them to do it. So what would you say to the people that are watching, whereabouts you were and whereabouts they were, and how you could encourage people to maybe think about this as an option?
All right. Well, I've always been a big thinker, an overthinker.
Yeah.
And I suppose where I was was that I've been looking for an answer for some time, and I'd tried lots of different things, but I essentially got to the point where I was just getting quite full of hate, and just annoyed, constantly pissed off.
Been there.
With everyone,
Yep.
and just generally full of blame.
Yeah.
So it's if this happened, then that, and so on and so forth. So I was in that place, so quite angry, quite annoyed, mainly at myself, but also with others. And I suppose probably the best way to describe it is that I was just frustrated, because things weren't changing.
Yeah.
I put a lot of expectation on myself, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah. So, Greg, do you want to elaborate on that to anybody
Yeah.
that's watching? Really, because I know the context king here is probably going to. How
Well,
can you portray that or get that across to anyone that's watching?
In
now?
summary, I think what Mark might be saying is that there was something missing, or there was an answer he was looking for, and the more he invested, the more he developed, actually the less he was getting an answer. There was less of an answer, and so you're getting in this kind of Mark Manson calls it a feedback loop from hell, which is from the book which you recommended me to read.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, recommended to anyone that's watching this, by the way. But you get this feedback loop of hell, and I think that's what was happening with Mark. And Mark, I noticed Mark was quite angry, and there was an impatience, and there was almost an urgency to get things right. Now he hid that to begin with, but I kind of saw through that, and the more I spent some time with him, I saw that. And so I think for those of you that are listening now, I suppose the context is there's something missing, or there's more, or there's something there, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And it doesn't matter what tool you watch or tool you look at, whether it's personal development, have some sort of personal mentor or coach, or YouTube, or TEDx talks, or TED talks. You might try these tools, but then they're not working after a while, maybe 3 or 4 weeks or a few months.
Well, actually, I think I can just jump in there with
Yeah.
something. And that is, I knew a lot of stuff.
Mm.
I'd learnt a lot of stuff, and I knew a lot of stuff. What I hadn't done was actually got it. So it wasn't.
Do you know what?
That was what it was.
It's so funny, right? Because everything that you're saying, like your journey, everything you've done, it's like listening. It's like having a conversation with myself. It really, really is. Because I've done everything you're saying. I'm thinking, I've done that. That's what I did. That's what I did. That's what I did. That's where I was. It's fascinating because so many people that we've had on the chair. They're all saying very, very similar things, and some of us take it a little bit more. So Vernon and yourself, myself, and Jonathan, we really went to town on learning this stuff because we really believed that because we were ambitious and we wanted to improve our life and change it. But then we realised that no matter how much we learned and how much we did it, it weren't actually happening in real life. It was all happening theoretically or intellectually. So
just again for the viewers that are watching this, so what Mark just said about getting. There's understanding and there's getting, and they're very, very different things. You can understand how to ride a bike from a physics point of view, or you can know how to ride a bike or get how to ride a bike. A small child can get how to ride a bike, but a physicist can work out all the formula of how to ride it, but doesn't know how to ride a bike. So there's an element of understanding, and for those of you that may be listening and watching now, you might feel that you understand things, but you're not really getting it.
Or doing it.
And I think another analogy there, which I had recently, which helped me to sort of make a distinction around it, is you can hear a joke, and it makes perfect sense, but if you don't get it, you don't get it.
Brilliant, I like it.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I get it now.
Brilliant, I like that.
And I do think we all fall into the trap that we believe that information or knowledge is the key. And it is, to a degree. But I just tend to find there's me included, I spent nearly 4 years locked in my house, learning as much as I could about trying to understand where I was, what I was feeling. And from a scientific perspective, I know pretty much everything, well, to a degree. But the issue, like you said, I actually wasn't doing it or being it. Mm-hmm. And I just kept watching more videos and thinking, right, so that leads on to that, so I need to know that. And I start watching that and I need to know that. And it just became a perpetual cycle of trying to find more information and thinking, right, well, I know this stuff now. Why isn't my life changing?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, hopefully, that are watching this are stuck there, and that's who the people that we can help. So
the transition is we go from your theoretical understanding, and your academic understanding and your understanding to actually one of practice and getting it, which is a completely different thing.
Living it.
And when you do that, it's quite an experience. It's very, very liberating. It's really freeing. And then once you start doing that, you start doing it more and more and more, and it becomes more liberating. So
it becomes a way of being.
It does, yeah.
You don't have to practice it anymore. You just start being it, and
it is absolutely that's the difference. A bit hard to explain. Again, it's like getting it, but that's why we have the quiz and we have an open evening and a seminar. But we can talk more about that at the end.
Yeah. So anyway, Mark. So let's get to, because Mark was one of the very, very, very few people that didn't participate in the 2 prior events. At the moment, like, we have three stages, and Mark, you really only sort of went into...
He did a half-day sort of workshopy style thing.
Well, I think what it was that I was one of your earliest...
An early adopter.
Early adopter.
Yeah.
So you were still shaping the proposition then.
Yep.
But my need was so great that we circumvented the first 2 stages. I was just ready to go, because I knew a lot of stuff I'd done before hadn't worked, and this seemed very viable.
Yeah.
So even though it was difficult from a financial justification point of view, there was just something at the back of my mind that told me that I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And so we just got on with it, and it was a case of really just getting past the workshop stage very quickly and then getting into it. So that's why it was a slightly different format. And I can understand as well, because you were working with Scott Campbell at the time as well, and you were really putting together what the flow looks like.
Yeah, which is now
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your first sort of judgment or opinion of it when you first started? Because I know that when I turned up,
we talking day one of the program.
Yeah, day one of the program. Really, when you first started it, I know where I was. I thought I knew all this stuff, and I didn't really know what to expect. But then I was pretty much challenged straight from the outset. Really.
Yeah, me too.
So how was it for you, and how did you deal with it?
Well, like you, I didn't really know what to expect, and I suppose part of me thought there was going to be like a magic wand.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's all sorted.
Yeah.
Yep. So the first day was tough. It was painful.
Yeah.
And it tested me, because my patience was not great.
Yeah.
So I think Gregory and I had a few ding-dongs along the way.
Yeah, I had a few with him as well, actually.
Give him his due. He
Yeah.
just held his ground, and that's what kept me going with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was difficult, and it was tiring as well, because it was long days, very long days.
Anything stand out in particular that you can remember? Any distinction that?
I wanted to throw Gregory out the window.
Yeah.
For anyone, this happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any distinctions?
Yeah.
No, I didn't really know where it was going at the time. So I decided to trust the process.
Yeah.
Even though at times it didn't feel like there was anything going on, because we did challenge each other a lot. As much as Gregory was challenging me, I was challenging him.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
It was difficult, and there was a lot of toing and froing, but I did actually find it quite cathartic at the same time as well, because there was stuff I was getting off my chest, and I was beginning to see that I had this fixed mindset. So that was where I was at. There was a lot of stuff that was coming out, which was quite deep rooted, I suppose, but actually the best way to describe it, Gregory was holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
This is what you sound like, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it was much more subtle than that, but that's what I was getting.
Yeah. And that's what, in anything in life, that's all we're doing really. Our external world is a mirror of ourselves.
Absolutely,
And many people don't realise that. That's really, that's our filter that we use when we're our perception of the world and what we project.
But what makes this different is that you cannot hide from me.
Yeah.
You can run away, or you can stay, and I must, and I'm going to include you now because you're going to be part of the delivery of the programs. But we are a stand for your transformation. What do we mean by that? We mean we don't take it personally, we don't judge, and we're just going to hang in there, and we will win, right? We will. You can see, and I'm looking in your eyes. We will win.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, which means you win. Okay, that's because we care, and I have to say that originally it was a sort of 2 to 3 day program. 5.5 days, I think, he's the longest we've done, because he had resilience and resistance, and he's formidable, he's intelligent, so he had rational arguments for everything, and it was exhausted. Some of the days were 10, 11 hours maybe?
I think longer than that.
For longer than that. So, we did about a 60-hour programme, but he talks about the mirror. What I do is you start looking away, I run round and show you the mirror a bit more. So eventually you get fed up and just stay there and go, do you know what? I need to deal with this. So
I think the stronger you are, the stronger character you've got, and the more intelligent you are, the tougher it is. Because I think you, in a way, all of that has to be like beaten up a little bit. You have to have it all knocked back down. You have to have it all knocked out of you before you can go, do you know what? I'm beaten now, and guess what? Do you know what? I think you might be right. And you'll challenge it and challenge it and challenge it, and it's just really the resilience and the strength of your character, really fighting the things that you've learned, or your belief systems, or all the rest of it, and that you're always right. Yeah. And depending on sort of your character, it really depends on how quickly the process.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's an SAS program, and they invite civilians on to do the SAS program, and it's really good because it is actually a lot of personal development stuff going on in there. Yeah. And the guy that runs it, Ant Middleton, he's fairly local, I believe.
Yeah, lives up top. Yeah, I won't say really.
So anyway, he's. I remember him saying one thing, and he said, "You get these guys that come in and they're physically strong, mentally strong," and he said, "and they think that that's what's going to get them through." And he says, what they don't understand is we're going to keep chipping away until there's nothing left, and then that's when they see who they truly are. And he said, and that's what we've got to get them to. He said, so the harder they believe they are, the harder we work on, because it's about breaking them. And that was a bit like the experience for me, really.
That exactly happened for me.
Yeah, it was about keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, until you're exhausted and you've got nothing left to throw back.
But it's done in a safe environment with
it is,
care
and it's not done. There's no hostility around it, but it is. It's tiring. It's tiring, but it's absolutely necessary. You don't get the change unless you go. Yeah. No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
I just want to add here that because I remember I'm starting to recall that program. I mean, I know it was some years ago, but what was powerful about yours is that all of a sudden there was a point where your resistance just almost dropped to nothing. Because after the program, you resisted most things. It was just your default. And then and you talked about catharticism. It's quite a cathartic process. I think what that did was take away your resistance, which then put you into this growth mindset, this much bigger growth mindset, which was really like, wow, does that make sense?
I think the biggest outcome that I got was that anything's possible.
Wow.
Yeah, anything is possible.
And I just told myself that, for many years, that things weren't possible.
And it is the way it is, and it's always going to be that way.
And that's it. The good stuff happens to the lucky people.
Yeah.
And the other part of it was really that what you helped me to understand, and this is why I absolutely live by now, is that I was looking externally for the answers.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're internal.
Yeah.
But you've got to go through the barriers to get there. So it all comes from inside. Yeah,
which is an absolute. And there's so many people that say you've got to look inside for the answers. I mean, it goes back flipping to it's even in the Bible, I think, where it's saying you've got to look inside. But for 2,000 years plus, we still, as a race of people, continually keep looking outside for gratification,
wand.
For the magic wand, for somebody to solve our problems.
The magic bullet.
The magic bullet and all the rest of it.
Or a way of being, when actually the answers are all in you.
Yeah.
Divine intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's buried away inside. We've got the answers to everything. You just got to get your mind set to understanding that and knowing it, and more importantly, getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you recall when that the magic moment was when you went from when critical mass went into the transformation? Do you because I can completely and utterly remember when all of a sudden I was like, and then all of a sudden, boom! That was all of a sudden there was a magical moment. Did you have a moment like that, or was yours a lot more?
No, I didn't really think about it until you just asked the question, and I think what it was for me was that I after it was done, I hadn't been getting on with my wife. I've been blaming her for everything. But actually, it was all me.
Yeah.
And after it had happened, I needed to come clean to her about the money that I'd spent.
Yeah.
On this program.
Yeah.
Since she knew I was going to see Gregor, she didn't know anything about what was really going on.
Yeah.
So I sat her down. I said, I need to talk to you. And the funny thing was, she said, I thought you were going to tell me you were gay.
Oh wow!
So I told her. All about Gregory, and I said, look, so this is what's been going on, and I have to tell you that I've spent some money on this, and so on and so forth. But she actually said, I can actually see a change in you straight away.
Yeah.
And she said, you just seem calmer, and just nicer to be around in general.
That's exactly what my mum said.
What about Mark?
Yeah, my mum don't do.
Shortly after, I don't know, it was just like there was a new lens on life.
Yeah.
I was walking around and I was feeling, again, it was all coming from inside. It was just a sort of like a ready brick glow about me.
Yeah.
Just nicer to people and more chatty with people, and I just felt different. I felt like a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. So, the best way to describe it, free.
Yeah.
Sense of freedom.
From yourself?
Yeah, sense of freedom.
Amazing. That's quite a powerful, because that really is really what's going on. For me, I woke up the next day and the whole world looked like a different place. The light was different, the colours of the bushes were different. It was like, literally like, someone had cleaned my eyes and everything just seemed, and so, it was just, it was quite a big thing for me, and obviously for you. I mean, it is powerful. Absolutely.
It was a big shift, and it was a transformation.
So how's that? So is there any really other before we move? So how's that really? Anything else within the course that you that you experienced that you'd like to tell us or to tell anyone that's watching? Obviously, we know it's challenging. We know that there's a lot. Is there any particular distinctions that were life changing for you? Because I know there was two disciplines in the first day that was life changing for me. One of them was like like I said it in other videos. It literally was like a walnut with a sledgehammer, and it cracked me open so much that I was then willing to embrace it in a lot more. Because obviously, did you do the dissatisfaction? It was the 1+2.
1+2. So you've obviously a much more refined version. But over to you, Mark. Was there anything specific?
Well, the dissatisfactions was an important part, because that was bloody hell. There's a lot of dissatisfactions. I didn't realise I was carrying around that much baggage.
Yeah.
But once you start to get into that, and it starts to, it's like a pressure cooker. All of a sudden, all this stuff starts coming out.
That's very cathartic as well, man.
It was. I mean, painful, but again, once you've sort of got it out, it's like you've unburdened yourself with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was a case, and this is where Gregory was very good in putting that into context, and then dealing with those issues with the introduction of certain tools, which I use today in my own work. And they were all very, very good reference points to keep you in check. So, when you feel yourself straying off course, because
we do.
Life is like that. You're going to get pushed and pulled around in different places. You've got a toolkit to be able to help you develop that. I remember those. Well, they're part of my life. It's not even a case of remember. They are very much a fabric of my life.
Yeah.
Well, you'll do them automatically without even thinking about them now. A bit like driving a car. When you first drive a car, it takes you 40, 50 hours to learn. Then you can do it without thinking about it. So these tools they're just all tools and philosophies and life hacks. They'll be new to you. We've got about 15 on the programme approximately, and they'll all be new to you.
And we're creating more, by the way.
And we're creating more. They just they make you tooled up. It's like your human plus in that respect. But then after a while, you keep practicing them. then they become part of who you are. They become innate, inbuilt. And
They
then
become you.
They become you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that adds to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so again, this is not. So this is a way of looking at it. Is that you don't do the program, you become the program. And
Yeah.
That's what
I like
happens. Yeah, it's not something you do after, you become.
Yeah.
It changes, a fundamental shift that it brings about, and better understanding of your own environment. You just look at life through a different lens.
Yeah, and I think there's the old what doesn't work for you, and what ends up doing, you spend a life doing the things that actually work for you, and not spending a whole lifetime with people or situations or a way of being that doesn't work for you.
Yeah, well, Gregory said that that this program will give you superpowers, and me being with fixed mindset was of course. Just get on with it. Cut the fluff. Let's get on with it. But you know what?
Yeah.
It's superpowers. The impact I can have on people's lives now as a result of it, very, very quickly. I can get right to the nub of where their issues are incredibly quickly. And I can say something. I can just say 2 or 3 words which would have a massive impact.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that before because there's too much of me in the way.
Yes.
And that's what it's allows you to do.
So in a way, as much as it's helped you massively develop, evolve, shift, shed your skin, become the new Mark, the better Mark, the better person, the better husband, and yada yada yada, whatever way we want to go forward with it. It's also enabled you to become better in your job and in your communication skills with clients, and actually being able to work better in your business as well. So, how tell us a bit more about that.
Well, the main part of my job, I suppose, really is when I'm working with my clients is helping them raise their self-awareness.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to have gone through a fair amount yourself to have done that. So that's really what it is. I mean, it's about my level of self-awareness and helping others to raise their level of self-awareness. Because if you can't do that, then you're just going to end up getting stuck and getting to where I am.
Yeah.
And you might think you know a load of stuff, but unless you've really got it, unless it's woven into who you are, it's part of your DNA, then it's only going to have limited effect.
Yeah.
So that's what it is really. It's raised my awareness, and I've used that in turn to raise other people's awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Do you want to add anything, Greg?
I don't think I can on that occasion.
No, I mean, yeah. Well, you're obviously very successful. I mean, I've had several conversations with you, and obviously you're very good at what you do and very successful at what you do. Is there anything anything else you want to add to to this to the interview and maybe speaking to Greg or telling anybody that's thinking of doing the program or any of your experiences, anything you want to add before we sort of close up, really?
Listen, it's been a life-changing thing for me, and it's just been the start, because what it's done is it's opened up a whole new world. So I do a lot more personal development now, and but the difference is I'm so much more open to it.
Yeah.
And it was the much-needed trigger to enable me to do that. So I'm on a journey, as we all are. And sometimes we just don't realise that. We think that the journey is dictated for us, and that we're just where we are. We've all got the potential to do amazing things in our lives if we really, really are open to it. Gregory
choosing it as well, isn't it?
Choosing it, yeah. Gregory helped me unlock really what my potential was, because I just had so many limiting beliefs before that. It was ridiculous. And he's just lifted the lid and said, there you go. And so it's changed my world. And anyone who's really feeling stuck and at that point where they're saying, I just want things to change, and life keeps throwing me horrible curveballs, and I'm fed up of living in the impact of it. You need to go and see Gregor. You need to go and have a chat and Steve, and understand more about the process, how it works. Go there with a sense of adventure rather than you've got to convince me. And understand that they are absolutely 100% there to support your journey. This isn't about them lining their pockets. They genuinely care. It's all about authenticity. my program was supposed to be 2 days. It ended up being closer to 6. We were both exhausted at the end of it, but he didn't let me off the hook, and that's what I'll always say, is that this is about the journey and supporting the journey. So I'm a better person as a result of it, and the learnings are great. It's a lot of fun along the way. So if you're thinking about it, don't think about it anymore, just do.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. There was something you said in there, and I thought of when life chucks you a lemon, make some lemonade with it.
Absolutely,
know what I mean?
yeah,
So, and that's really what a lot of us need to do in our lives, and so that's an absolutely wonderful credit to you, and to the course and whatever. But I mean, this is before I was involved, so that must make you feel quite.
I've nearly teared up 3 times. I've held it back though.
Cry,
that's the only downside.
Yeah, but it does cry a lot.
No, I teared up, but I didn't cry.
Yeah, so that that must mean a lot to you, mate.
Yeah, stop it. Yeah,
Gonna make him cry on camera.
I just want to. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear you hear this as well for me, because then you get a little bit of background.
Yeah.
I haven't just sort of appeared. But then I'd just like to bring attention to what we do.
Yeah, let's go.
So, so thank you for that, and we'll give them the opportunity
to
pitch
have a little chat about what we do.
So if you go to reboot.uno, there's a number of options there, but we have a quiz. So the quiz it's a very unusual quiz. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes. I implore you to be honest with yourself. It will give you a score and help you give you an idea.
But there's no point doing it if you're not going to be honest.
Absolutely.
So,
But some people aren't. But if you do it, and what it does, it's a free quiz, and it just opens your eyes to a little bit about where you might be in life very quickly. And then if that's something, depending on your score, it may recommend that you come to one of our seminars. Okay, we've got 3 types of seminar. We do a private seminar online, we do a private seminar in person,
yep.
And then we do a small group seminar. That's
which we've now got all in place now, haven't we? So that's a new place to work from.
Good. So you can find that on reboot.nu, or you can come to just an open evening, which is it's non-committal in any way. You just come along for a beer or a cup of coffee. They're normally on a Tuesday at 6 o'clock every other week, and you can find that on reboot.nu.
Ask some questions. Find out whether it's right for you. Find out a bit more about myself and Greg. Find out whether this is something you really want to do and what's involved, and don't be frightened of it, and don't be frightened of yourself, and don't be frightened of asking the questions. It might not be right for you. If there's something that in your life that we identify that you might just need, we've got people around us that we can either send you to that can solve those problems. But don't be frightened. I mean, because it could be the best decision you make, and it could change your life over just by making that decision.
Well, you can be a little bit frightened. Just have some courage to overcome that fear, and come along. We have a flip chart, and it's normally only 1 or 2 people come along, so it's quite a private affair.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say, what was it? It's escaped me now. The 3 stages to the program. The program is the last bit, which is it's about 4 to 5 days now. But there's 2 bits before that. One is the seminar, which we talked about, and then if you're still brave enough and feel that that's something for you, then you do a day's workshop. You can do that again privately or with other people, and that's kind of like an application to the program, because as Mark has been clearly indicating throughout this interview, it's transformational. Some people we describe it as being unrecognisable from your former self, because what we do is reconnect you to the true you. And we all learn to be someone we're not. That's why we have a feeling that something's not right, and we connect you to the bit that makes you feel right. So that's reboot.uno.
Yeah, it's like,
plug.
It's like, for me, it's probably the best way I can analogy. It's like literally shedding your skin. It's like shedding your skin of all of the old past stuff, beliefs. For me,
the bits that don't work.
The bits that don't work for you. We're only going to concentrate on the things that don't work for you. Don't think we're going to change the positive or remove positive things that are happening in your life, because that's not what this is about. This is about transforming the negative elements of your life, the things that don't work, the things that's stopping you, the things that's preventing you, or past experiences that are keeping you stuck or in a state of anxiety or depression or whatever. They're all negative elements that are all probably something that you've learned as a coping mechanism. And what we're about is actually freeing you from those and shedding your skin and becoming the real you in the present moment, and allowing you to go forward in your life, moving forward with a nice tool set, and also free from and being liberated from the past. And I think that's probably, in a nutshell, in a way, for me, that's how it's had an impact in my life. And so that's really, so it's a great. I've got to take my hat off to you. I mean, however that came about, it's brilliant. It's worked wonders for me. It's obviously worked wonders for Mark. So anyway, so Mark is a very professional business consultant. So this is your guilty plug. So tell anybody that's watching a little bit more about who you are, what you do, some of your clients, or whatever you would like to say as a plug for Mark Constable.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I run a business called Next Gear. And essentially what we do is we help businesses that are established and been going for some time shift up into their next gear. They can sometimes be stuck in their first gear. They could even have 50 people working for them and just going through the motions. They're on a hamster wheel. And what we do is we help them build a system of systems to evolve their business so that it's more asset driven. And what I mean by that is that actually at the end of it, it's got a high value, that it's got a culture that's supportive, it's a culture of coaching, and it allows the owners the freedom that they want to run the business and their lives the way that they want. But everyone wins, that's the good thing. We coach the whole business, we provide very transformational IP that can shift a business from, say for example, a £5 million business to a £50 million business. It's a system of systems, and if you ever want to have a chat, more than happy to do so.
Got a website?
Yeah, we have, nextgear.com.
Is that
nextgearpartners.com.
And that's, just want to spell that?
Yeah,
NEXT?
NEXTGEAR partners.com, which is actually under maintenance at the moment,
Yeah.
but it's so it's all being evolved, and we work all around the home counties.
Great. Okay. Well, look, I mean, it's been a great pleasure to have you here in my garden, in
It's been a pleasure
the
to be here.
Reboot
Sunshine,
Studios. The
I'm
Reboot.
cooking, but
Yeah. Well, it's about 35 degrees here, so I think we've done quite well considering.
Thank you. Well, I've been in the shade, so
Yeah.
thank you, Mark.
So, but thanks for Mark for coming along. We really appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy man, and we're really grateful.
It's only because you offered me beer. That's all.
Here we go. We are going to go and have a beer.
Beer.
I think we deserve it. I think it's
we
heat.
do.
So thanks again, Mark. Greg, again, always it's a pleasure.
Thank
and
Thanks
so.
for hosting.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're
First time you said that.
Right,
Right,
yeah,
okay,
sorry.
So thanks for joining us on Reboot TV. We hope to be having another one of our acclaimed Reboot. What do you want to call them?
Don't know what you're thinking.
Graduates.
Thank you
There
very
you go.
much. That's right. So Reboot graduate
For amazing
soon.
stories.
For amazing stories. So if you want to know any more information, you can contact us through our Facebook page. You can contact us obviously through the YouTube channel, or you can go to reboot.uno and contact us through there. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Amazing Stories. And so from me, Stephen Jakes, thank you.
Thank you
Gregory.
very much. Thanks for listening.
And Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot and goodbye.
Cheers, bye.